M.A.D.E. Transition Services is an amazing organization that Tony needs to stand up. Tony, please. Tony, Earl, and Tariq Green founded together, and they can Tariq's going to talk more about it, but I had, we live in Nyack, and I had gone to a Nyack Center a year ago, November, to a restorative justice panel, and I was so moved by Tariq Green. Didn't remember his name, didn't remember the organization he worked for 6 months later, but I remembered the heart and soul of this man. And that was the beginning of an amazing friendship that I'm just so grateful for. You speak of truth, you shed light on the institutional racism in this very dysfunctional prison system we have in our country. But you speak about it in a way that just inspires me to want to do something and not just feel overwhelmed by it. And I'm just honored to call you my dear friend, Tariq Green.
And I want to say thank you to the musicians who will be performing tonight, two of whom I've heard already. And they touched me so deeply. I'm sure they're going to do the same thing to you, but they touched me so deeply that it was a must that I do something in the future with those musicians, with those artists, because I just felt such a connection to them when I heard them sing. And so this is such an honor and a blessing for me. And of course, thank all of you who came out to support, to show support to such a important cause, at least important to me and Tony and others. So thank you.
Yep.
So as Jeff said, my name is Tariq. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tariq. I am the Deputy Executive Director and co-founder of M.A.D.E. Transitional Services, along with my Executive Director, Tony Earl. And M.A.D.E. is an acronym. It stands for Making a Difference Every Day. And one of the reasons why we chose that name, and one of the reasons why it's so important to me, is because one of the things that Tony and I seek to do with whatever time we have left in this life is to make a difference every day. We're both formerly incarcerated. I've served 21 years in New York State Correctional facilities, from maxes all the way to maxi-maxes. So I've kind of run the gambit of New York State Correctional Facilities. And in that time, I've met hundreds and literally thousands of men, many of whom are incarcerated for crimes that they did not commit. Many serving 10, 15 years, some serving life for crimes they did not commit. Some of those cases we hear about. It gets sensationalized in the news, and we hear about someone who served 15 or 20 years for a rape, for murder, and then DNA evidence 15, 20 years later determines that they actually did not commit the crime, and then they're released, and they may receive millions of dollars, or maybe not. The point is that they are released after serving so much time. How many of us heard cases like that? Exactly. So I would like to venture to say, for every case that you've heard like that, there's at least 10 cases exactly like that who you have not heard about. Their cases are not overturned, and they are still serving the time for crimes that they did not commit. And so, and many of those men, and women as well, but many of them are not lifting weights and playing basketball, and many of them are not destructive. Many of them are receiving undergrad degrees. Some are receiving master's degrees and other skills, vocational skills, and some of them are just making a difference where they are. You'll see them in the yard doing gang intervention in prison. You see them in the yard explaining to men who are about to go home how they should cherish being home and become good fathers and become good husbands and good brothers and good sons. So they're still dedicated to making a positive difference every day. And so one of the things that Tony and I decided when we were released from prison is that on a personal level, if we weren't going to dedicate our lives to making a difference every day, then we had promised to trade places with someone who will. Go back in, let somebody else out instead of wasting space and wasting time, right? Make your life count to the best of your ability. And so we decided that, you know, we would do something personally to combat some of the injustices that people still are faced with. So let's take a case as one I've just explained of someone who actually served the complete sentence for a crime that they actually did not commit. And even those who did commit their crimes, once they complete their sentence, now they're home. And one of the things that you do when you are incarcerated, if you are of sound mind, one of the things that you do is you want to go home. You don't want to stay. Everything you do is based on and in preparation for the day that you're released. And many people serve these sentences, and then once they are released, they have this excitement, despair. How many of us know people who have come home from prison? And don't they look good all the time, right? They're nice and healthy looking. They got a shine to them. They're excited, of course. They're happy to be home. And we see this all the time. They go out to look for work, and they're denied. They go out to try to get back in school, and they're denied. So everywhere that they turn to try to get their lives back on track, that denial, you'll see it after maybe a month, maybe 2 months. You'll see the shine start to disappear. And you'll see that the shoulders aren't up anymore and they're slagging because they're being beat down slowly but surely. They're being beat down. They still have to survive and they still have desires. Believe it or not, people who serve a lot of time in prison don't come home dead. They come home alive and they still have a desire to be men, to be fathers, to be important in their area, in their community, in their families. They still want that. And so as they go about trying to get their lives back on track, and they're denied and sometimes for the most menial, ridiculous of reasons. They know that they're qualified for whatever position or whatever it is that they're trying to get. They know that they're qualified for it, but yet and still they're denied for some ridiculous reason, right? And so what Tony and I decided to do was to advocate. And so we've made it our business to touch upon that with the employees. And in fact, Tony and myself and our new partner, who I love immensely and dearly, please take a stand, Elizabeth, just for me one time. And give her a round of applause. And I'll tell you why. Awesome woman. Awesome woman. She just, I mean, very, very rarely do we get to meet angels in our time, and I'm definitely positive that Elizabeth is one. Deb, you have to be like the chief of angels that I have met in my lifetime. But Dr. Elizabeth Speck came to us with a curriculum that she had when we expressed to her that we wanted to create a new curriculum for employees, to train employees how to work successfully with people who are formerly incarcerated. So we're moving along those lines because what we seek to do is make that difference every day. Our programs are free to all of our clients. They never pay for our services, and our services include job readiness training, cognitive behavioral therapy training, because we want to challenge mindsets. We want to challenge how you arrive at a particular decision with our clients. What we find is that one of the things that keep people in and out of prison is making the same decision in the same circumstance over and over again, right? And so we seek to change that because it can be done. Tony and I both are living examples of the fact that it can be done. We have clients who have come home and didn't have simple things like identification. It's very hard to get identification if you don't have the points that you need. And so we've had clients who've come home and didn't have clothes to wear. Thank God that for again, the chief of angels, that Tony and I were able to give suits and to give clothes to people as they come home. Sometimes not even for job interviews, just to wear, simply stated. Especially for the women. A lot of the girls who come home from prison have absolutely nothing. So those are some of the reasons why it's critically important and why it means so much to us that you guys come out and support. Because without people like you and Deb and many others who are, everybody is not so calloused and turned against people of lesser resources. Everybody is not so hard against. There are people out here who actually do care and who do help. I can tell you many stories of people who actually give of themselves when it comes to helping that population. But the reason why it's so important is because without your help, we are not able to do what it is that we do. We're not able to provide the training services for free to them anyway. And we're not able to give suits or give clothes to people who come out who really need it. And that's what makes it so important. So Tony and I do have, housing that we are in line to attempt to acquire. But of course, the issues are always the same, right? The issues are always the same, which is a lack of resources, lack of funding for that. But we slowly but surely raise. Events like this help us raise, and events that we will have going forward help us raise.
Outside, and the light is blinding, but you're not the one with nowhere to hide. It takes just one to start the chain, and soon the streets are full. You speak up, you speak out, you speak loud. Let the chain run strong with your love. You hear our voices from above. Stand tall in darkest nights. No, I won't turn away. I won't turn away. I won't turn away.
Well, I've seen Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner all go down for looking like me. Well, JFK in '63, Dr. King in Tennessee for looking like me. Look at me, when you look at me and think you look like me, you sure do look like me. Rise above, when we rise above, living without our love, without our dignity. I hear the people say,
We need her,
there's another way.
we need her.
A heart here never healed a heart. And every time I think about it, I think out loud. Freedom ain't fair and love ain't cheap. Well, that's why every day I get a little taller. Out there in my rear view smaller. I'm getting for dreams that they sail away. I lift my head just a little bit higher. The world will catch fire after they see the mess I made. 'Cause they know, 'cause they know it's time. When will you look at me? lost in this blindness. I'm losing faith in all I know, but I'm hoping you can save me alive. But he can't. Knocking me down, I end up right down on my knee. Oh, it's been a hard time living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come, because it has to. Then I go to my sister. I ask her, sister, will you help me please? But she